City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City will meet in a workshop in City Hall, Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Tuesday, July 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Roll call to my left.
Jacobs here.
Evans here.
Fox here.
Key here. Burns here.
We have a quorum. New business, 1A, discussion regarding the FY 2023-2024 budget. And city managers can take over. Y'all want to speak?
I went through the revenues and kind of tweaked them a little bit and found a little bit of money, around $40,000, that we could add to the budget. And then Keith wanted to make a few changes in his budget, doing away with the Henderson County interlocal agreement and making a sergeant position a lieutenant position, which gives us a difference of $87,815 that we need to allocate.
I can spend that.
There's a few stipulations on that,
Okay.
on the child advocacy deal. Right now that we're with the task force that investigates all of our crimes against children, that we pay $50,000 a year to. One of the investigators in that group is wanting to come to work for me. And the only way I can get that to happen is to get the funds up a little bit more on that spot. That's why I'm wanting to make a lieutenant spot to bring him in at. That'll increase our salary line item, what, $5,000-$6,000, somewhere right there, I think,
Yeah.
off the top of my head. That contract's for $50,000 a year, so that'll put a little over $40,000 back into our budget, or y'all's budget. Plus, that'll give me somebody in our office that actually works all of those cases and can handle all those cases. He is a very trained investigator. He can work homicides, he can work everything there is to work. He's worked here before, several years ago. Good guy. I've worked with him before. But like I said, the only way that I can make that happen is to get the money to where he can afford to come over here. And making that a lieutenant spot would be able to do that.
So we would have to give up the Child Victims Unit Task Force money to
Yes.
make that happen.
Yes. And that is a annual agreement that expires December 31st, 2023. And either party can terminate by giving a 90-day written notice.
What's the pro and cons of terminating the contract? Well, if I hire him, we'll have somebody here that knows how to work those cases, other than me.
So we'll have an in-house response to that?
We will have an
what we're
investigator
paying
that
for
can,
now.
yes, they can handle everything that we do here.
That would really be a better, from our perspective, better.
And save us about $40,000 a year,
Okay, what's the downside?
not one.
Do we have an agenda for the budget, or can we just bring up anything?
It's budget, the entire budget. You can bring up anything.
Well, I'd like to ask Police Chief if he could give us a better understanding of lease versus buy, and with what savings could he come up with out of his own budget this year to make that happen? And what are the benefits of it?
Me, and give you all these. Very good. We went from 6 cars down to 4 cars, okay? I kind of broke this down with the different lease options. The first one is leasing with 2 trucks and 2 Tahoes. And that's going to be with a $9,000 buy-out at the end of the lease. We either buy it out or we turn it back in and they sell it. Whatever they sell it for comes back to us on the next lease. Okay? So that's with equipment, everything, 4 vehicles is $73,846 a year for 4 years. The next one is with the equipment with a $1 buyout at the end of that lease. And the total yearly payments for 4 years is $81,986. Okay, so the next set of numbers that you see there is going to be the 4 vehicles without the equipment with a $9,000 buyout. If we buy the vehicles without the equipment, it's going to be $56,326 a year for 4 years, but it's going to cost us $60,000 up front to get all 4 vehicles equipped and ready to go on the street.
60,000 each.
Yes.
No.
No, total, for all 4.
Oh.
$15,000 a car to get them equipped with everything they need.
What are we proposing to buy this year? 4, 2?
2.
2. And that's for how much?
The 2, $150,000 has been allotted for the 2.
Is there any equipment on them?
That's fully equipped.
Fully equipped.
And then the last one there is with no equipment and a $1 buyout, it's $64,466 a year. And again, that's with paying $60,000 up front to get all 4 of them equipped. Okay?
So what is the upside or downside of this? We have to drive newer vehicles, and we have 4 instead of 2? Or-
Yes. We'll have 4 instead of 2. They'll be under warranty basically the whole time we have them, which will eliminate at least 50% probably of our maintenance bill that we have right now. Safer, up-to-date equipment, vehicles. Because we're running 2016 Dodge Chargers right now that are, I don't know what the exact number is, what we spent on maintenance this year, but I'm figuring it's probably close to 50,000 right now.
Shane?
Is the buyout cost per vehicle?
Yes. Yes, and this on a 4-year lease. Like the Tahoes, in 4 years, they'll probably have 60, 70,000 miles on them. Well, 4 vehicles, they're gonna be running 7 days a week if that's all we get for. Okay, so I'm figuring they'll be between 70 and 80,000 miles at the end of that. A 4-year Tahoe right now is selling for 20, 25,000 with 80,000 miles on it. So when we trade these in at the end, if we do it on the $9,000 deal, when they trade that back in, if they sell it for 25,000, everything over 9,000 comes back to us on the next lease.
Is there any way of estimating what that number might be over time? I mean, we don't know, really depends on the quality of the vehicles and a lot of other factors.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just thinking out loud, if they have 40,000 miles or however many, if we're running them 7 days a week, that engine is running 24/7, isn't it? And those are,
Well, I've got
Usually-
2 officers on the street at a time. So there'll be 2 of them are running at nighttime, 2 of them will be running at daytime. So they'll be running 7 days a week, at least 12 hours a day.
and those are hard miles, those aren't just driving through town miles.
Well, a lot of them are, sometimes chase them.
Yeah.
How many cars do we have now?
I've got 5 that are actually in, 5 Chargers, because one of them we had 6, one of them got totaled that didn't get replaced. That was the one that got hit head on out here on the bridge during the ice storm. So I've got 5 Chargers right now that are, most of them are between 70 and 80,000 miles on them.
What's the newest year on those?
16.
And what else do you have?
I've got 2 2020 Durangos,
You got 2 of them?
yes, and then 1 2022 or 2023 Ford Explorer.
Are those out on the road?
The Ford Explorer is the sergeant's car. One of the Durangos is mine. The other Durango is the captain's. My investigator's driving, I think, a 2009 Lexus.
Is that a company vehicle?
That's one that was given to us through the military, through a military program.
How many employees take vehicles home?
Right this minute, 2,
Which is,
me and the investigator.
I've heard others do. Do they occasionally do
The only time somebody else takes a car home is if they're going to training the next morning. If they live towards the Metroplex and they're going to training in the Metroplex, then we'll let them drive one home so they can drive it to school instead of coming here, getting a car and turning around and going all the way back. But as far as take-home cars, there's only 2 people right now that have a take-home car.
Could you think if we had the newer vehicles, we'd have a safer police force, more reliable? I mean, these are hard to put numbers on, but these are things the public looks at.
Well, just about every time we go out to get one of the Chargers, we got to jump them off. I went to take one to get the oil change today, it's dead, couldn't get it going. So, I mean, it's something with them every day, and which could be the same thing with the new ones. I mean, it's just, it's a car. They break down, the batteries go dead. I do know these cars that we've had, I've had front ends replaced on almost all of them. I've had drive shafts replaced in 2 of them. A wiring harness replaced, a total wiring harness replaced in one. So it's constantly something going out on them.
What is that, the Dodge?
Yes, ma'am.
And are the vehicles that we have now that are going to be replaced, are they eligible to be auctioned?
Auctioned.
Thank you.
Yes. I've got 7 cars now that need to be auctioned, that are out of service sitting up there. Those, which should have been done years ago. I inherited those. But those Chargers, the Chargers, some of them would be available to be auctioned. If we only get 4 cars, then I'm gonna have to have a couple of those still for backups in case one's in the shop for something.
So this year, to lease would be less money than buy, but it would be more the next 2 or 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah,
It would
Yes.
be ongoing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, buying, leasing, and operating a car, as we all know, is ongoing. There's just no way around that.
Yeah, and I don't really like a permanent debt, another debt, other than, well, we have to have a city hall payment, fire trucks. Because we're making a decision for the next 2 or 3 years for council. We're spending their money.
4 years, yeah.
Now,
4 years. Yeah.
yeah, we get a 4-year lease.
Well, but we're here in charge to make a decision. I mean, are we
I
gonna
know.
put it off for 4 years and let,
Well,
no,
yeah,
we
we
can't
can
do
do
that.
that.
of course.
Well,
There's
I
two,
wouldn't,
what you got to understand, if we order cars, it's probably going to be a year before we get them.
yeah,
Okay, so then those Chargers are running another year, and then we're going to get 2. And then we're going to order 2 more 2 years from now, and then those Chargers are going to be running for another 2 years. So you're looking at another 4 years running these Chargers that probably not going to last.
Right.
Is it not like that with the lease program? Could that possibly happen as well?
What do you mean?
Where it's going to be a year before we can get them?
It could be. But if they know we're coming, they'll pre-order.
Well, I like the lease program. I think that's the way to go in terms of maximizing our vehicles and the productivity of them. That's what I would prefer to do. Throw it out there and be on record of that, and with the voters, I think this is what needs to be done in order to have a more durable, sustainable, visible police force in the city of Glenboro.
well, I'm against it. No. I just don't want the debt for the city. So, or for 4 years.
Well, we're going to be buying cars every year anyway.
I know.
Every other year
Yeah.
is what we've done.
So
So it's not
no free lunch here.
No, there's not.
So one car would be, to buy one car outright would be
75,000.
And they have budget now for 150 to buy 2 cars,
Buy 2.
just 2
Yeah.
already.
Outright.
So we really could buy 2 and then in 2 years buy 2 more.
Yeah,
That's what we're saying. That's what we're doing now.
yeah.
Or we can lease 4.
Well, this is what needs to be decided. Is that how we want to spend the 87,000 and lease vehicles? I know there's been talk about having to build an animal building, an animal shelter building.
Well, aren't we talking about the lease program could be handled within your existing budget?
No.
$50,000 that he wants won't be spent on his cars. That's his guy.
Yeah,
So
that makes up part of the $80,000.
That makes up part of the 80,
Yeah,
right?
so we don't have-
So you need additional in order to swing a lease versus buy from your current budget.
Well, I don't have any vehicle purchase stuff in my budget at all. That's all done somewhere else. The only thing I've got in mind is maintenance.
Well, I
No,
thought you
it's,
had two
it's in your,
vehicles.
it's in
Well, for
yours.
the purchase of them
Yeah.
out of that other fund.
No, it's in your, it's in yours. We're just moving it from that fund.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in your budget. It's down at the bottom.
But there's not a routine budget there every year for vehicles.
Well, maybe that should be looked at.
Well,
Well, I guess you bring it to the council and we can vote on it, vote it up or down.
well, no, it's in the budget. You've got to, I mean, the budget has to be up or down.
Which we didn't buy any vehicles in 2018, did we?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because all of mine are 16s and then 20s. And then we bought one.
And that was probably,
This year.
it just depends on what sales tax is. The last few years, our sales tax has been phenomenal. But prior to that, we were pinching pennies. Right now, our sales tax is right on track with what we've budgeted. So I don't know if we're going to see an increase anymore. We're still waiting on the summer months to come in, but we are right on track with our sales tax. So
Well, it shows in 21, 22, we had 205,737 for machinery and vehicles.
that could have been,
I don't know what we spent, but
and I don't know off the top of, we did radios. That may have been the radios we purchased.
are they working? Oh, in-camera cars and mobile radios.
That's this budget.
That's this budget.
Oh, okay.
But also on those radios, I don't know if I told y'all or if it was just us when we were talking, but those radios, even if they get approved in October, I'm not ordering those till probably January, because there's supposed to be some funding coming out in December for a grant to fund all of those. So we're gonna go for that first. And if we can get the funding for it, then that 34,000, I think, would still be in the budget.
Well, these radios, are they the same ones that Jeff suggested when he came to the PD 4 years ago or 5, and they never got hooked up? Or do you know?
The mobiles were never ordered. We got portable radios,
Oh.
which are these here that we carry with us.
Uh-huh.
Those are the ones that actually mount in the car. Because these, sitting in the car,
Uh-huh.
we can't, 99% of the time, can't talk to dispatch, they don't understand us.
Well, I think there's another thing we need to be thinking about too, and that is, the Parks Board is very active and they write any proposals, there may be a required city match for some of those. And, in the past, I think, maybe that's been a problem, the city's not being able to match those grants, but it's usually 50-50 on those grants. Personally, even though they're a new board and they raised a little bit of money with the walk, I think that I'd like to give them a little bit of a budget to start off with. I realized that, well, let's wait and see what they come back and want, but I think part of the problem that committee died in the first place is they had no financial support, among other things. But I'd like to see them get a modest amount of stipend in a budget and let's try to be able to match some proposals can come along. Yes, there's an option of a grant on the table now for a modest grant. It does not have to be matched, but I think it would improve our chances.
Yeah.
And this is for animal shelter, improving the holding pens at the park.
Right.
And I think that that's something that we need to, we're going to have to get some priority too. I mean, we've got a lot of priorities, and
Yeah.
that's on the table.
It always is. So if you get your 50,000 for your officer, I can go with that. That's what you think is best. What do you say?
The only thing I'm asking out of that is about 6,000. The rest of that's gonna go back into the city instead of paying the
Yeah, it's part of the 87.
task force.
Yeah.
That's just making that sergeant position a lieutenant position, so the only part I'm asking for is the money difference between a sergeant and a lieutenant for him. The rest of that money goes back to the city
So that
instead
would
of paying
leave something
task
for
force.
reallocation.
So-
No, it's in that number.
It's in that number that Mickey gave us. What did you say, Mickey, 80 or?
87,815.
That's 90 grand.
So everything is balanced with the exception of 87,000, and you just need to tell us where you want us. Do you want us to do cars? Do you want us to put money in the park and money in animal control? What do you want us to do?
What is the minimum amount you need to keep for lease? How much more do you need for a lease? Or can you tell us, give us a number?
Well,
73,
if we go with
81,
the least
56?
the least expensive one with the $9,000 buyout at the end, which just means when we turn it back, we either pay that $9,000 and keep it, or we turn it back in for new vehicles at the end of the lease. That's $73,846 a year for 4 years.
So that leaves
And that's
us
fully equipped.
$15,000, Mickey, or something like that?
Yeah.
But one other thing I want to throw out to you real quick, the console that I was talking about for dispatch, okay? We just had a 911 meeting, was talking to them. There's also a grant out there that we can get for that will fund it 100% for the equipment. We'll apply the application and get approval on it before we do anything. But the only problem with that is we've got to pay for it up front, and then they turn around and pay us for it once it's installed. So
How much is that?
that was
57,000.
well, I got a new bid, it's 54.
Is that in the budget or not, Mickey?
No, that's
54,294.
That's not the budget?
no, but that if he gets a grant for it, it would be a wash.
Well, that would be, I think it's a pretty good shot of doing that. Getting the
Oh,
money.
they pretty much said, yeah, we'll get the grant if we apply for it.
Okay.
So, but that would be applying for it, getting it 100% approved, and then us ordering it, us paying for it when it comes in. And once it's in and installed and everything, we'll send them the information and it's reimbursed at 100%.
And you're comfortable, you collectively are comfortable with putting possible grant money in the budget? I mean, it's not a guarantee. so-
No, it would just be a wash. We would just come back to council and say, we've got this grant, we're going to spend the money, and it's going to wash it out. It would just be a wash.
In and out.
If I might say something also on the grant he's speaking of, you'll get it. It's for 911, so
Yeah.
they want Young Borough to have 911.
I can add it to grant funds, but it wouldn't be spent until it was approved, and then I can add it to expense as well. That's not a problem. That's not going to change the 87,000. That would just be a wash, and I can do that.
Which, this grant's actually gonna cover the consoles, it's gonna cover the seating, it's gonna cover individual headsets for every single dispatcher. I mean, there's a lot more stuff other than just the console that this grant's actually gonna cover and reimburse at 100%.
What is the amount? 54?
Just the amount on the console was 54,294.33.
That's
But-
just the console?
That's just console.
So what are you wanting to spend?
I don't know, because I didn't figure anything else in there, because I didn't know nothing about this grant.
Okay.
And I eliminated the console, so I didn't look at anything else. But I can get those numbers together.
Okay. Get those numbers together, and then I'll add it to PD Capital as a wash.
But the grant will pay for consoles and the headsets and all the things you were
The
talking about.
chairs, yes.
Regarding any improvement to the animal shelter holding pens, the grant we're going after is $30,000. I think we've got a pretty good shot at getting that. It's local monies. And if we can come up with a match, and I personally think that we should go back to our friends at EDC for a match. And that would give us, I think, pretty good budget to put in 8 to 10 new holding pens up there. And this is, if council approves, and Mike and I working on a proposal, we'll get that in before the September deadline, October, I think September 30th, something like the deadline, and let's see if we get it. But I think that's the way we can handle that.
Okay, so that still leaves us with the 87,000 to allocate.
Are the,
But that's if I can pull off this deal with this contract, right?
Yes. Oh, what do you mean pull it off?
Well, because I gotta find out what that spot's gonna be able to pay and everything, so I can get with him and get
Already
a definite that he's coming.
I already gave you those numbers.
You did?
I saw it in the budget
I don't know what I did with it.
or something. Well, we're looking at $73,000, $80,000 allocation out of what, a $5 million budget?
5.3. I'm sorry, 5.9.
5.9 million, we're looking at $73,000 reallocation at some point in time. I don't know, I'm in favor of going ahead with the leased cars, giving 5K to the Parks Board, and see what's left. Hold it for a match, for another grant proposal somewhere.
the radios that allow you to communicate interagency, is that already in the budget?
The mobile radios, yes.
You do have in the budget significant upgrades over at the police department itself.
Yes.
For renovations.
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess the only thing we can do is vote up or down on the lease cars. So she'll know how to do the budget.
Yeah, I've got to know something.
I mean, can we do that?
It's just as consensus. I just need you to tell me, yes, we want to do lease cars, or no, I don't want to do lease cars, and then we figure it out what we're doing.
No. I mean, the other ones can.
I think it's better to buy them.
I prefer to buy.
Well, it's already 3-2, so.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is
It
hard.
is tough.
It is
It's
hard.
really tough.
Yeah.
'cause
I don't
You
like
have
the
to,
debt.
at some point,
I
we're going
want
to
to
have
take
to.
the maintenance off of their plate. I want to take the maintenance out of our budget. I want people to stop having to stress about that.
Well, that's
But
all
at the
it's gonna be.
same
You got a
time,
car.
I know,
And they need to learn to take care of them if they're not. And if I don't know, do you think Durangos are better than Tahoes, or does it make a difference, in your opinion?
I'm not a fan of Dodge lease products, period.
Evidently, they don't last too long, or that good.
That's why DPS and everybody else is going back to the Tahoes.
Yeah.
Because they've been proven. And on the roads we got to drive on,
Yeah.
cars ain't built for it.
So the consensus is not to lease. I didn't even hear it.
Not this
Not to
year.
lease. So
There was
now,
no
not,
funding issue.
so not this year, we're going to buy them. So where do I need to put this money? I mean, this is actually a good thing,
Yeah.
that we're having to figure out where to put money. It's actually a good thing.
I would like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go
me.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go, April.
Go, all right. Well, I mentioned this before, just with all the things that the street department is going to do this year. I mean, if we could, or if we agrees, I think he would need that trencher.
What's that for?
That trencher, the trencher. This is where they dig the holes to lay the pipe.
the irrigation
You know, like we were
lines.
talking about the water lines that are
$12,800.
for the park, for the drinking water, they dig the line. And so I think they rent them now.
Yes, ma'am. And it would be the freshwater lines for drinking, and it would also be irrigation for the Memorial Tree Program and other trees that hopefully we can make this.
And you could use it other places too, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
How much is it?
12,800, right?
I just needed to mention last time all the things that they were planning to do. It just seemed that that would make it easier in renting it.
Okay.
as a fall.
So how much we got left now?
Well, is everybody?
Oh, yeah, I'm good for it.
So let's go back to, he was talking about putting money, and I would like to allocate it in Ernie's budget under like a park board expense where they go through Ernie to do their spending, and that way it's still done correctly. And we can allocate funds for that. They also have a park special fund, but we won't be putting that money into that fund. We'll leave it in the general fund and let them work with Ernie to spend any monies.
All right, how much?
I have park board, I have trencher, and animal shelters, what I have on my list.
Well, I'd say at least 5,000 is a minimum.
For park board?
Yeah. It's not very much money, but it does show a good faith effort by the council to support it.
So how much does that leave?
Well, we need,
Say 67, say we're right at 20,000 if we,
I'd like to
That's
set aside
after-
30 for the animals, units. Do that.
And so that's, the 30 is, the figure you mentioned is after taking out the trencher and the,
I'm adding it.
And the park board.
animal
I
shelter.
think we could give more to the park
You want to get more to the park board, 10?
Well,
I'm thinking
about
10.
10 would be better.
Other needs that we have over here as well? Sorry. Make sure we're looking.
Let me see, get your calculator
Anything
out.
else that would fit?
How much
80,
you want to spend?
87,
That is a need.
815
That is a need.
You guys
minus
want to put a storm
52,
siren in that we
800.
have on the plate that we took off?
How much?
We have 35,000 left.
All right.
Storm siren,
Where would the storm siren go?
Harbor
We
Point.
replaced, yeah, either Harbor Point or Lakeside Acres.
Because I know the one in Harbor Point is very hard to hear.
It all depends on the wind too. It shovels off towards the northeast, usually the south.
Do you want to put it at a storm siren?
I'm not saying you have to, but I can keep it going for another year, you know.
What about the generator? Can you keep it going for another year?
I can keep it going. They actually call and tell you about that.
Okay.
We did put some money aside for the generator, didn't we, maintenance, 5,000? Did I see that somewhere?
Yes, it's under maintenance of other in the police department.
And hopefully that part will be in when? 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's what the guy said.
Oh, 2 weeks, yay.
Hopefully the part will be in for the generator within the next 2 weeks. That's better than a 25-week lag time.
Oh, right.
They load that.
Speaking of repairs, how about the doors? Are those,
I saw those here.
I forget what you call
The
them.
Sallyport door?
Yes, yes.
That's in this budget.
So we could we buy the siren?
That would be it.
I'd recommend we buy the siren, give the animal parks board $10,000, and trencher $12,000, and what would be left for in Doherty's budget for parks board?
Oh, you said 10,000.
That's worth $10,000.
Did we leave anything for the animals?
I put
shelter?
30,000.
Okay, good.
So I have 10,000 going for the park board fund. Sorry, a park board line item. 12,800 for a trencher, $30,000 for an animal shelter building, and it's like 33,000, the balance for the storm shelter. And we're right there.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
I mean, storm siren.
Yeah.
Are we doing a storm shelter?
We're doing
too?
a,
That is
God, let that get out.
Everybody's asking about it. We'll put that in PDF.
Where's that storm shelter that treasurer was talking about? So win-win, win-win. I think it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
So yes, this makes it to where you can hire your guy and do away with contract. Is everybody good with that?
Very happy.
All right. I will get all this fixed up, and then the budget public hearing will be
Next month.
on the,
Regular
on the August agenda,
Presentation.
presentation and public hearing, so we're balanced. Good job.
Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Yes. Yeah, that. And look at this, it's a computer.
Oh, let's talk about a couple more things. I added, if you'll look behind the back sheets after debt service, the street sales tax, we added that we would bring in $648,000. It was a 2% increase. And Ernie is allocating reconstruction, repairs to streets at 190, 815, and then outsourced at 600. And those two numbers he can play with. Like, he buys like the base work, the materials and stuff, and that comes out of repairs. And then if we hire like Bar None or whoever the contractors are to actually do the work, that comes out of the reconstruction. So that's the street maintenance budget. The capital improvement fund, I have $64,853 going towards the PD for the remodel and the filing system. $150,000, that this will all be moved into general fund. $150,000 for 2 police cars fully outfitted. I put $500,000 aside for the community center, and $70,281, which would go into the general fund to upgrade our website and all the modules that go with that. Then if you look at the hotel motel fund, advertising, promotion, signage, administration. This is festival administration, advertising and promotion. In the staging, the bathrooms, the fencing, this kind of thing comes out of the hotel motel funds to actually put on the festival, the administration of it. Muni services is costing us about $6,000 a year now. I think it's $100 a property. It may be a little different. I would need to see, but as you can tell, our short-term rentals are being processed through Muni Services now, so that's increased significantly, which is a good thing because it also increases our revenue. Sporting events like fishing tournaments.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question about the short-term rentals? Who is tracking those?
So we have a spreadsheet going. Every time they come in and pay, I put that they pay on the spreadsheet, and Mike Ward, the code enforcement officer, he also has access to that spreadsheet, and we asked them a couple of weeks ago if they can look into who hasn't been paying and who has paid and send letters, and they were supposed to be doing that.
And what about I know there's some out there that are not.
Registered.
Yes.
Some of that's the honor system.
Yeah, they would, unless we're finding them, if people call and say this is a short-term rental, then code enforcement would go out and make notification that they need to come in and register. Sporting events, I put $30,000, and that's bass tournaments or any type of sporting tournament. And then special events like the Quilters event or any other person that wanted to come in and maybe do a concert or do another event in the city, that would come out of special. And then the last page is the festival fund. This fund is used to purchase talent for festivals. Right now, I had Fall Fest in there and I forgot to take that out. Any revenues that we received from the Electric Arts Festival would have went back into this fund to pay for talent for the next year. And that's kind of how we do July Fest. Like the talent that we buy, this fund is based off ticket sales, beverage sales. We have now partnered with the Chamber, and the Chamber handles all the vendors, and they have sold out. So that is actually a great thing. So because we partnered with the Chamber, the Gun Barrel branch, this is their way that they fundraise. So they get all the money that they bring in from the vendors. If we still did vendors, then it would go in here as well. Right now, we have sold a little over 500 tickets to July Fest, and that's way above where we were last year. This week is where our big sales come in, so I'm expecting to see 1,500 plus. hopefully. It's a good show, so that is what this fund is for. Just so I can put that out there because it's said that I'm not, so, and y'all are new, so you didn't know, but this is how we do festivals. Also, fireworks, drone shows, that cannot come out of hotel motel fund. That's why we budget that out of the general fund. On our drone show, I've seen it. It is going to be amazing. They have upgraded us to 200 drones, free of charge, instead of 100. So we are right now putting music to that, and that's been paid for out of the general fund.
That's the drum show. What
Yeah.
else do you take out for festivals? I mean,
Out of general fund?
yeah.
Well, any overtime and stuff comes out of general fund.
Okay.
When we did bounce houses, we took that out of general fund. We're not doing bounce houses this year, so.
So it's mostly just general fund and,
General fund, festival fund, and hotel motel takes care of festivals in town. The main thing about festivals, putting heads in beds, is marketing, so we try to do as much marketing as we can. We have a deal with 106.9 The Ranch, and that's who's marketing July Fest this year. That is out of Corsicana and out of Fort Worth. Last year, 100.3 Jack FM did the marketing for us out of Dallas.
one any cheaper than the other.
We're not seeing a cost at all because they get to bring in sponsorships and their name is on the event, so they come in to.
They don't charge us.
They weren't. There might be a small marketing fee, but it's not outrageous.
How much money is set aside again for, since Welsh Lane is complete, how much will be set aside for new paving, contract paving?
That was at 600.
600,000.
600K?
Yeah.
Have we made a decision or any on where the priorities are going to go with that?
For the contracted paving that we're going to do, and the reason I do contracted is because I don't have manpower to do road and do traffic control, so I have to contract that out. We will be doing Welch Road. I need to crunch a little bit more numbers with the current numbers that we have. I originally was thinking 3 phases, but we may have to go to 4 phases.
Of Welch?
No, of Harbor Point
Harbor
Road.
Point.
From here up to the county
Yes,
line?
correct. From the highway to the city limit line up there. So I would say right now expect 4 different phases. And I would have to break that down to see if we can do 2 phases in 1 year. It just all depends on the money. So I'm expecting 1 phase would be probably 250 to 300,000 just
About
for
half of it?
just for 1 phase. Yes. So, and there's a lot that I have to figure out when I do that. But Harbor Point Road is definitely high on the list to do. And then, off the top of my head, a lot of residential roads, different subdivisions. But I can get that information to you guys. I already have a list in my office, but that's mainly just a wish list because I haven't crunched the numbers yet. Just kind of speculating how much we're going to have. And typically I do that in October, November timeframe. I'll present it to city management on, hey, here's the roads I'm projecting, here's the cost I'm projecting. So that will be coming in the next couple months.
One thing I did want to ask, I looked at a budget a few years ago that had $10,000 for mowing lots that people, I guess we didn't know who owned them or we couldn't find the owners. We have so many overgrown lots now. A lot of them become real fire danger in this thing. Is there no money at all to mow into these lots?
We had actually cut it. We had it on there and it was one of the cuts that we did. If you want to try to reallocate some of this front money, we can put a little bit in there.
How much was it?
Yeah, I don't want to
We
tell
had
you
ten- we had
10,000
$10,000.
grand of his money to put in a cheaper siren and put that money back in the budget. It really looks bad. Up at Harbor Point, we got some lots up there that if they caught on fires, there gonna be some houses go up. Roy, Roy, you know, it's bad.
We have $30,000 in property cleanup, which is the demo side of it. I don't know how much 5,000 would get, but you want to, we can try to find 5,000 in here and put 5,000 into it somehow.
Who would do the mowing? Would the
We'd have to hire someone.
bars get contractor?
Yeah, that, we couldn't put it on the street guys in the park. We'd have to hire an outside contractor.
What do you think about her? Would that work?
Can you rephrase that question? I'm sorry.
Would that work?
I know, but what, exactly what would work?
Well,
As far as hiring or
Contract it
doing
out,
something in-house?
contract out the mowing.
Contract out the mowing?
Yeah, for vacant lots,
Yeah, 100% that would work.
And I was talking
If
with,
your question is, can we do that in-house? Yes, it is possible, but I'm stopping something else to,
well, that's what we're talking about. I
Right.
think
I'm-
we better
I'm-
contract it out.
right.
And we wouldn't just
And-
be talking about lots in Harbor Point, that would be all over the city, so.
Yeah, and it would be
That would be,
it'd be a pick and choose because you have to, which lot gets the priorities, which areas get the
Right.
priorities. It
And-
would be,
Then did y'all put a lien on them?
we would put a lien on the, whatever it cost us to do it.
How much of a trouble is it how hard is it to do that? You'll do that over in Tamarack, don't you?
We do it.
It's a process.
Process.
Absolutely, it's a process.
We do, but if it gets foreclosed on, you don't get your money.
Yeah.
So, sometimes,
Yeah, it's
you know.
something that works in
It- And about mowing, and Tamarack has their fair share of abandoned properties with high grass, but it's not a one-time mow.
No.
I mean, so it's like, where do you stop? Where's the line? I mean, I would prefer, not that you're asking me, but the money to be for touring down the property that you get squatters in, or that you get, dangerous situations in. So, for me, I'd prefer to leave it in the
The demo.
demos, because that costs money, a lot of money to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Than to mow something that it's gonna look the same way next year as it did this
A
year.
month,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we fight with that as well.
Yeah.
I was talking with Mike Ward earlier, and he was saying, we could encourage the homeowners that are adjacent to those lots, we could encourage them to, be neighborly and mow that too.
We do try that, and have in Tamarack in the past, when I want to get back to that, COVID kind of slowed us down, but we'd say, hey, if we clean it up, if we get our volunteers to come here and clean it up, would you mind mowing it when you mow yours? Some will, some won't.
Well, we've got a lot of lots in Tamarack Point that I don't even know who owns up there.
No,
We got a lot of problems up there, with really fire danger.
Just one more point. There's times that I pull my laborers from the street department to assist the parks to mow the parks area.
Yeah.
Especially heavy mowing season, and there's several times a year, I was on a mower today for a couple hours. So, that just to show you guys that, yes, we're all tasked, and it just would be an additional task.
Yeah.
Nina.
We would get it done, but we would
I'll
drop the ball
I'll
on
do it if you
something.
got an air conditioner.
I'll be first.
Get your cabin there.
No, they're open.
I know we have lots that need to be mowed to look good all repeatedly, but we have some lots in Harbor Point that haven't been mowed in 5 years.
We do too.
One mow would not hurt. So I'd be in favor of moving a little bit of money over, so if you can find something, try to do that.
I'll play with
But I'd like
what,
to retain the siren. too.
I'll play with, like, I think there was around $35,000 left.
Yeah.
I'll play with the numbers and see if I can put a little bit of mowing. It won't be 10,000, but I can put something
Put
in there.
something in there.
Okay.
You have to go out for a bid to find somebody?
Yeah, we'd have to go out for quotes.
And you're gonna take that out of which fund?
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm gonna, whatever's left out of this money, it doesn't add up to 87 exactly. I'm just gonna
So it's left.
put what's left in there. Just be a little bit, it'll be a start.
May I say something?
Absolutely.
For, when it comes to like quotes and bids for some of our stuff, I mean, we have like regions that we have one vendor, they serve Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, so sometimes it's hard for us to get, let's say a storm siren, if we're gonna do federal signal, there's one Federal Signal, they have dealers, you're stuck with the region. So I may not, unless you guys want to go with a different brand of storm tires, and there's probably 4 of them out there. That's the only way you can get a price cut difference to where you have something, you know, to pit against, but then you've got different brands with different batteries, and different components, and it's hard to keep up with when you're trying to fix them in 20 years.
Goodness. So are you saying you
No, I was just kind of forewarning everybody that's new here on,
Basically, it's better to stick with the same brand so that you can
You know how to
repair
maintain
it
everything.
going
correct.
forward.
Because right now we're Federal Signal, and the last 2 new ones we put in Federal Signal, they ended up being solar power, which is correct. So far, it's working out fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we haven't had to put batteries in the park one yet. So the older ones burn them out, probably, they boil the water out of them once a year or less. And each siren has 4 batteries, and they're $110 a piece or better. So we have a maintenance of probably about $3,000 just to keep them going a year without a lightning strike or high winds taking antennas off.
Speaking of lightning strikes, speaking of lots that have had lightning strikes, there is a vacant lot on Coral Reef that had 2 magnificent oak trees that were both hit by lightning. And now it's just dry, and I'm thinking, oh man, those could catch on fire and burn down the whole block.
You just call them out, hold on.
All right, so he's got it.
As long as the power's not out.
Yeah.
As long as the
Regeneration.
power-
But that, we're working on that.
2
We're
weeks?
We're working
It
on
has to
that.
wait 2 weeks.
And the part will be in 2 weeks. I'm hoping within 3 weeks it'll be installed and up
But
and
you
running.
got emergency backup lighting now in there, do you?
Oh, yeah.
He should.
So they can at least see it.
They see to do nothing,
15 minutes or
see
so,
to
you
just
know.
look at each other.
And
so
now
you
we
can
can see to get out of the building.
Yeah.
Before, we couldn't even see that.
Well, how much do you think the auctioned off cars are gonna bring?
I have no clue.
I don't have anything in auction.
Timing on that, or?
Uh, Yes,
Well, got equipment that's gotta be taken out of all of them.
Oh, I do too. I have 1,000 in
So we
auction.
gotta figure out how we're gonna do that.
yeah. I can only speak for what's over at my shop. I don't know what is in other departments at their shops, but I was hoping to have it done by Friday. It didn't happen, and I worked on it yesterday. I worked on it today. I'm real close. Hopefully within a few days, I'll have at least majority of the portion ready to submit to put on auction, with the exception of whatever he has over at his shop, because I don't know what's over there.
The 4 cars.
So, but there's quite a bit in my yard. So if I can focus on one task a day, I can get it done, but I focus on 15, just like everybody else.
Yeah. So what do you do with that money? Just put it in your,
It'll go back to general fund.
Yes, it goes in general fund.
We use that for city parties, right?
I hope so.
Really? Yeah, we're going to Chili's after this.
That's not my kind of party.
No, I'm joking. I got my root
So
beer
you
right
can't
here.
take 4 cars to make one that runs,
They're Dodges.
I'm a Chevy man, I know the feeling.
On the
But
subject
if they hadn't have bought Hemi Dodges, we'd probably be doing all right. But everybody I know that had the Hemi Dodges have nothing but problems with them.
But-
The 6-cylinder ones run a whole lot better.
But they're 2016s, right?
Yes,
So we got a little use out of them.
yeah.
It's time for new ones though. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question about the park, and I think we spoke about this. Has it ever been checked to see if we could drill a well? See if there's water there? And
I have not done that research now. I have not heard of anybody doing that research. So the answer is no, I don't know that answer.
How did they, like I was telling Cindy, my neighbors drilled a well and hit saltwater. so it was not any good. So how do they know
If it's good.
if it's good? Does anybody know how that process works?
Taste it.
I mean, but you have to pay to drill down to it, so it's not something you know beforehand, it's after you drill?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just-
you have to
Sure,
get
if
down to
somebody
it
out there
and
in
test
Alton
it.
can figure that out
Yeah.
in this area.
Had to beat Joey to it, you know.
There's probably a lot of well drillers out there that you contract to do that, and drill hundreds of wells, and no, you have to clear everybody's lives.
For irrigation, yeah. It'd be nice if it was potable water, but, well, salt water would kill everything anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, they spend a lot of money on something that they can't use.
Dude,
My neighbors,
They can boil it.
yeah, they do. I guess so.
Saltwater pool, right?
There you go, that's what they could have
Natural-
done.
Natural
Dig it
pool.
out, and let it be cold all the time.
Oh, yeah.
or maybe it's a hot spring.
Program. Are we through?
I think, is everybody,
Yeah.
Thank you again,
thank y'all.
Mickey and department heads and everybody it's a lot of numbers to crunch.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can we ask y'all a question?
Are we adjourned?
Yeah, it's fine, I think. When y'all make motions, can you say, Jacobs makes a motion to and just instead of, I make a motion, can you say your last name? Because it's kind of hard to catch in the minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
First and last name.
It can just be Burns. Burns makes a motion.
Oh, okay.
Burns makes a motion.
Burns makes a motion.
And I'm thinking, oh, that was my last thing.
Oh,
When you said-
oh, I think I've seen this one.